Hello everyone, this is part 59 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. It was almost 10 o'clock the following morning when Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke arrived at the nostalgic site of Training Ground 7. Almost 3 years it had been since Team 7 had stepped foot upon the place where it all began for them. And by no means was this the same Team 7 who had barely managed to pass the Genin test at this spot. Uchiha Sasuke, having spent years under the brutal training regimen of the ANBU, stood there dressed in a pair of black shinobi pants and a black vest that was zipped up to just below his N. Sasuke also wore a pair of braces on his arm, inscribed with a rather intricate storage seal made for him years ago by a budding seal master and close friend. Like before, Sasuke wore his Konoha headband was tied around his forehead and his Chokuto sword was fastened by a belt to his back, kind of like it is in canon, only the belt is a normal belt and not a rope. The vest showed off his bare arms, and a tattoo that was the mark of Konoha's Anbu, which had developed a significant amount of muscle, causing multiple dams to burst and drool to flow from the mouths of Konoha's infamous Sasuke Uchiha fan club. He still maintained those dark looks that drove his fangirls wild, keeping his girlfriend's hands full fending off a countless number of girls who just wanted nothing more than to claim Sasuke as their own. Sasuke's physical appearance wasn't the only thing that had changed, he had also matured mentally. For the most part, Sasuke was a collected and calm shinobi, except when it came to anything regarding Naruto, who had learned not to lose his head regardless of the situation. Even his Avenger complex had all but vanished. While yes, Sasuke still wanted to kill Itachi, it was no longer solely about avenging his clan. Sasuke had managed to develop multiple bonds which he was now unwilling to sever, one of those bonds under threat from Itachi himself. Itachi was no longer about avenging his clan, but rather now about protecting those who he saw as his new family. Haruno Sakura, apprentice of the Slug Princess and Godime Hokage, had spent her years studying various forms of medicine and becoming the best medic possible. While they were only just beginning, whispers were going around about Sakura's progress and even some wondering whether or not she'd be the one to surpass Tsunade. Regardless of her apprenticeship under Tsunade, Sakura didn't stop at medical ninjutsu, taking some lessons in poisons from Kato Shizune and Mitarashi Anko. Yeah, she was regretting that choice at times, and also some genjutsu training from Yuhi Kurenai. This was accompanied by her own personal studies. When all was said and done, one could predict what she knew, but even then she was likely to have a surprise or two up her sleeves. Now, Sakura wore a red vest with the Haruno circle on her back, a pink apron skirt with black spandex shorts underneath, black gloves, black boots, and pink elbow protectors that matched the color of her hair. However, if anyone had shown a noticeable change, it was Uzumaki Naruto. The blonde Jinchuriki, personal student of the Toad Sage and self-proclaimed super pervert Jiraiya, over the course of 3 years had shown more improvement than anyone ever thought possible. As expected of a student of Jiraiya, Naruto was now seen as a seal master, whose skills in the art were believed only to be matched by Jiraiya himself, and even that was pushing it. If someone would ask Jiraiya, the Toad Sage would probably say that Naruto had surpassed him in the area. The blonde Jinchuriki stood next to his two teammates, wearing a jacket with his signature color and a long, flowing, red coat with black flame dancing along the bottom. Yes, Team 7 was back together again. At 10 o'clock, exactly 2 hours after they were supposed to meet their chronically late sensei, Kakashi finally appeared, atop one of the training posts and holding two familiar silver bells in his hands. "I think you three know the deal," said Kakashi. However, Kakashi reached into his pouch and pulled out 4 more bells, throwing one each to Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. "I've thought about it, and I feel you three need a bit more of a challenge, so I altered the test slightly." As Kakashi finished his words, he threw the bells to the empty spaces beside him, only for them to be caught by 2 blurs. Looking beside Kakashi, Team 7 saw none other than the eternal rivals of Konoha, Meitogai, Momoiki Zabuza, and Hitaki Kakashi. "Now that's more like it," smirked Sasuke. "Alright, bring it on you guys, Tobio." Sakura actually remained quiet, but voiced her anticipation with the sound of cracking knuckles. Off in the trees, word of this test had gotten around to most of their friends, and all the teams from the Konoha 12, who weren't participating in this little test, were present, along with Haku, Yakumo, Fu, and surprisingly Sai as well. Joining them were the Jonin couple of Orma and Kurenai, along with Iruka and his team, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and even Hiashi had taken some time to see Naruto's progress. I can sense this is going to be quite a test, commented Neji. Yeah, I mean they're going up against the village's 3 strongest Jonin. I don't see how they're going to win, replied Tenten. If there's one thing I've learned about Naruto over the years, it's that he will always find a way to surprise you, said Neji. Yosh! Shouted Lee. Today we'll finally see just how bright their WOTUHFUL flames can blaze. Right, Yakumo-chan? Yakumo just smiled and nodded to her boyfriend, having used this as an excuse to get away with that stuck-up clan of hers and spend some quality time with Lee. Let's see just how strong Naruto's gotten on his own, Akamaru, said Kiba to his canine partner. We've got to watch so we know just how much harder we have to work. We can't let Naruto leave us in the dust. This certainly will be an interesting test for them, commented Shino. Why? Because other than Hokage-sama and Jiraiya-sama, Kakashi-sensei, Zabuza-san, and Guy-sensei will pose the greatest challenge. Let's go Naruto-kun. Show everyone just how strong you've gotten over the years, smiled Hinata as she watched from the trees. Yeah, let's go Sakura, cheered Ino as the tension within the trees began to rise. Troublesome woman, sighed Shikamaru, whose ear had taken the full blast of Ino's cheers. I wish I was out there at Zabuza-sama's side, said Haku from a branch above where Ino was. Ino looked up at the ice user and Haku responded with a warm smile and a wave, sending a strong blush across the flustered Yamanaka's face as she tried desperately to hide her new crush from her teammates. Thankfully, Shikamaru's eyes were closed and Chuji was buried in a bag of chips. From off to the side, Sai watched the fight, all attention focused on his assignment. Flashback. What have you uncovered about the Jinchuriki? Danzo asked his pale subordinate. I have learned that Naruto-san already possesses great strength, commented Sai. However, I do not feel as if I was able to gather adequate information. Despite his strenuous training to break his emotions, for some reason Sai couldn't help but feel embarrassed about becoming victim to Hinata's first attempt at the secret move of Hyuga women that was feared by everyone with the castration palm. Thankfully for Sai, it was Hinata's first attempt at that S-strike and as such his injury wasn't as severe as it could have been. Yes, it appears as if your report is lacking in some detail. I expected more from you, Sai, spoke Danzo. Sai remained silent, as he was trained to do. However, I will allow you to redeem yourself. Tsunade is experimenting with an idea of hers to increase the effectiveness of ninja squads. As a result, an extra member will be assigned to each of 4 different teams. I have guaranteed that the Jinchuriki's team is among them. You will be placed on the Jinchuriki's team and be my eyes and ears regarding everything. I am also asking you to observe the Uchiha as I am interested in him as well. However, Uzumaki is to remain your priority. I understand, Danzo-sama. I won't fail, said Sai. End flashback. Sai continued to observe the 6 ninja in the clearing below, before a loud shout rang through the trees. Go Naruto Naichin! Shouted Konohamaru, Mogi, and Udon all simultaneously. Yosh! It appears as if the youthfulness of our presence has inspired all our friends. Declared Guy. Anyways, let's get this started, said Kakashi. We each have a bell and as you can tell, we all have a team. Sakura, Sasuke, Naruto, you 3 are against the 3 of us. You have until sunrise tomorrow to collect the 3 bells from us. Likewise, we'll be trying to take your bells as well. So what happens if you lose your bell? Asked Sakura. Well, nothing assuming you can still fight, said Kakashi. The team with the most bells by sunrise wins. You can use anything in this test and come at you with the intent to K, right? Grinned Naruto. PFT, like a gaki like you could even hurt a fly, mocked Zabuza as he gripped the sword on his back. How about we find out if you can actually do more with that sword of yours than bring a ceiling down on top of yourself. Yosh. And I shall see just how Kakashi has raised his student. Exclaimed Guy, sending a challenging look towards Sasuke. HN, smirked Sasuke. Immediately, Guy took the challenge as a sign to begin. Dynamic entry, shouted Guy as he flew through the air with his foot extended. Sasuke easily dodged and Zabuza followed in Guy's steps, engaging Naruto with his sword. At this, Kakashi sighed. Well, I'm honestly not surprised. Zabuza kept talking about finding out how good Naruto had gotten with a sword and Guy couldn't stop rambling about testing my student's burning youth. I suppose a warm-up is fine, said Kakashi before looking over towards Sakura, who had a similar reaction at her teammate's brashness. Looks like it's you and me, Sakura. Those two will never learn, will they? Asked Sakura. As Naruto, Zabuza, Sasuke, and Guy had moved off towards the edge of the large clearing for their own bouts, Sakura and Kakashi simply stared at each other. Naruto ducked underneath Zabuza's S, causing the large blade to sail over his head. Zabuza buried his sword into the ground and used it as leverage to kick Naruto in the gut. However, Naruto brought his blade up and blocked the foot with the broadside of his katana. Putting some muscle into a push, Naruto was able to throw Zabuza back just enough for him to take the offensive. Naruto made his first S and went for a quick second as Zabuza deflected the first attack. Unable to bring his large blade around in time, Zabuza had to jump back a bit more, forcing him slightly off balance once again. As Naruto advanced, Zabuza knew he had to do something to regain his footing. As Naruto made his next attack, Zabuza swung his blade at Naruto's blade, the two of them meeting in the middle with a clang and Zabuza using the push to spring him back, away from Naruto. Damn. The Gaki's fast. I can't keep up with him while he can maneuver that sword with little effort and strike again while I'm still recovering, thought Zabuza. Oh. Naruto almost had him there, thought Jiraiya, observing from the sidelines. It's the Uzumaki close combat style. Both the taijutsu and kenjutsu styles are fast like that, and if it catches you off balance, then you're done. Zabuza's got skill if he was able to disengage before things got ugly. I'm going to have to get the Gaki before he even knows what's going on, thought Zabuza before making a single hand sign. Hidden Mist Jutsu. Naruto held his ground as the mist began to surround him, keeping his calm as he lost his sense of sight due to the thick mist. Guy and Sasuke were in each other's faces, exchanging a barrage of punches and kicks, both of them familiar with the Goken fighting style. Yosh. Kakashi certainly has trained you well, exclaimed Guy. Your flames burn brightly today. However, I will not allow myself to be bested by Kakashi or his student. Should I lose, I will climb to the top of the Hokage monument with boulders strapped to my ankles and both hands tied behind my back. Is that even possible? Gasped Neji and Tenten at their sensei's ridiculous declaration. If you want to see flames, smirked Sasuke as flames erupted around Sasuke's fists and feet as he activated his own original taijutsu style, the Hoken. Hey, smiled Guy, his teeth glistening in the morning sun. So you wish to best my flames? Well, Guy suddenly erupted into a blazing inferno of youthful flames. I will show everyone just how bright my flames can shine. Gate of opening, gate of healing, gate of life, open. The increase in chakra flow through the spandex wearing Jonin was so intense that his skin began to turn a dark red and the veins protruded out of his forehead, directly above his now white eyes. Guy took off towards Sasuke at blinding speeds. However, thanks to Sasuke's Sharingan, the Uchiha caught Guy's movements and vaulted off of Guy's extended fist, which had just missed its target by inches, as he twisted himself so that his extended leg would come down upon Guy's back. Guy easily dodged this attack, and despite having come into contact with Sasuke's fiery hand with his own, the Jonin's hand remained unsinged. Guy then surprised Sasuke, with a sweeping kick, nearly clipping the Uchiha's stomach and causing Sasuke to think. My Sharingan's active and I can read his enhanced speed, but I can't predict them as well. Wait, didn't Kakashi mention something about Guy being able to combat the Sharingan's hypnotic effect, thought Sasuke. Sakura jumped back, dodging Kakashi's shuriken and responding with a few senbon of her own. His Sharingan exposed, Kakashi easily read the senbon's movement and deflected them with his kunai. However, as Sakura was about to make her next move, a thick mist began to roll in, masking her opponent. As the mist surrounded Naruto, the blonde kept calm and readjusted the grip on his sword. Moments later, he sensed an attack coming from behind and moved his sword to block the very blade that was aimed at his en. Metal clanged against metal as Naruto successfully blocked Zabuza's attack, surprising the demon of the hidden mist. He shouldn't have been able to sense that. I've been practicing my silent K with various sensory types and even they couldn't sense it. Shouted Zabuza mentally. Hey, he's probably wondering how the kit blocked that. Seeing that even the intent to attack can be considered a negative emotion, said Kurama. No brows can't attack unexpectedly in the mist, finished Naruto. Sasuke will also be fine, however, I'm not so sure Pinky will do so well in the mist against her opponent. If I remember, your sensei Sharingan can see through the mist, if it's not too thickened I suspect Zabuza won't want to hinder his team too much, said Kurama. Yeah, can't let this stuff hang around for long, replied Naruto. Futon, swirling gust. A rather strong wind swirled around Naruto before expanding outwards, creating a strong enough vortex of wind to cover the training ground and clear the mist. Over with Sasuke and Guy, who were fighting on the edge of the mist where visibility was still present. Sasuke saw the gust coming from what he suspected was Naruto and created a little bit of distance, with himself directly between Guy and the gust. Making a quick hand seal, Sasuke took a breath and exhaled. Kaiten, great fireball jutsu. Sasuke timed the fireball just right as the wind from Naruto's jutsu mixed with his fireball, surprising even Guy and costing the taijutsu user a minor burn or two as he just barely jumped out of the way of the rapidly expanding fireball. Sakura was thanking that gust of wind for blowing away the mist. While she had some degree of basic sensory abilities, Kakashi had managed to mask his chakra signature within the mist to the point where he was undetectable. And unlike Kakashi or Sasuke, or even Naruto, she didn't have some dojutsu or advanced sensory ability to see through the mist, so the gust of wind really did help. Perhaps she'd thank Naruto by buying the ramen after the next mission. Okay, maybe she wouldn't go that far. As the mist cleared, she looked around and still couldn't locate Kakashi. He's not in front of me, nor behind me. He's not to the right or left, and he's not above. That means, Sakura wound her fist before it into the ground. Below. Everyone witnessing the scene unfold were utterly stupefied at the destruction to the landscape caused by the P-Pinkett. The only person who wasn't gawking at the massive crater of debris was Tsunade, who was smiling satisfyingly. From within the cracks and crevices between chunks of uprooted earth, Kakashi stared wide-eyed at Sakura. Wow, what insane power, thought a sweating Kakashi. Remind me never to get on her bad side, whimpered Sasuke as he now stood next to Naruto. Trust me, if you somehow get on her bad side, then most likely she's already me. Shouted Naruto. So that's the strength Temari kept complaining about after her fight against Sakura, observed Shikamaru as he remembered back to the second Chunin exams. And judging by the size of the crater, Sakura's strength has increased by at least 10 times since then, troublesome. Kakashi-sensei, smiled Sakura sweetly. I found you. Back then, she already knew the basics behind using chakra to augment her strength, building up chakra in her fist and then releasing it in an instant. But this is on a completely different level. What else have you been teaching her, Godime? Thought Kakashi as he regrouped with his team. Kakashi then let out a slight chuckle. You know, I was expecting this from Naruto, but I honestly didn't expect this level of impatience from either of you, Sasuke, Sakura. Everyone looked at Kakashi confused. I didn't even say, start. So shall we get this going for real then? Asked Kakashi. Everyone gave Kakashi an anticipated nod. Alright, ready, start. As Kakashi said, start, he, Guy, and Zabuza disappeared in a puff of smoke as they left Team 7 to themselves. About an hour or so later, Team 7 was in the forests of the training ground after an initial search for their opponents proved fruitless. We need some way to locate them. I'm not about to wander around a forest, looking for Kakashi when he's already had time to set numerous traps, said Sasuke. Unfortunately, apart from basic chakra sensing and my Sharingan, I'm not a sensory type. Yeah, I can't detect even a single chakra signature from him, said Sakura. Well, they're 3 of the village's most powerful Jonin. Surely they know how to mask their chakra signatures, replied Sasuke. Yeah, we don't really have a sensory type on our team. Hinata, Neji, Kiba, or Shino would be able to pick him out in an instant. Hell, it sounds like that cousin of your, Karen, has a powerful sensory ability, said Sakura to Naruto. Although now that I think of it, how were you able to pinpoint Isaribi in the laboratory? That's it, exclaimed Naruto as he suddenly realized how to find the 3 Jonin. What, you've got a way to find them? Asked Sasuke. Yeah. You see, I can sense negative emotions thanks to Kurama, but as long as Kakashi-sensei and his team doesn't attack or give off any sort of negative emotions, I can't sense them. However, I do have Sage Mode. I should be able to find them using that, explained Naruto. Sage Mode? Asked Sasuke. Yeah, it's this cool training I did with Ero Sennin. I can utilize natural energy and that should help me find Kakashi-sensei in no time. Said Naruto, earning a nod from his team. Right, I just need a minute or so to gather the natural energy. Both Sakura and Sasuke watched as Naruto sat down against a tree and began to gather natural energy, although to any observer except Jiraiya, it just looked as if he was sitting there. Come on Dobe, I thought you said you could do something, prodded Sasuke as he couldn't quite grasp while Naruto was doing nothing, literally. Hold on, look, said Sakura as she noticed the change of color around Naruto's eyes. Okay, I've entered Sage Mode. Now to find Kakashi-sensei, said Naruto. There. Naruto pointed to the vegetation just a few meters from where they had taken up their station. Chidori Current. The Chidori was sent out from Sasuke, traveling across the ground to the point that Naruto had pointed out and 3 blurs shot out from the bush, barely avoiding Ibai Sasuke's attack. That Gaki was actually able to find us, said Zabuza as he landed atop a tree branch. He's got to have some sort of sensory ability. I know Naruto can sense negative emotions, but I figured if we remained quiet, he wouldn't be able to pick us out, thought Kakashi. But still, Zabuza, Guy, and myself can mask ourselves from even highly skilled Anbu and yet Naruto was able to pick us out. And what's up with those odd eyes of his? It can't be what I think it is, can it, Master Jiraiya? Guy, like his comrades, landed atop another tree branch, however this tree branch began to warp and contort itself, binding the taijutsu master in its branches. Sakura soon emerged from the trunk and made a go at Guy's bell. However, the reopening of Guy's second gate was enough for him to regain control of his chakra system and dispel Sakura's demonic illusion, tree binding death. Guy immediately moved in for an attack, but was intercepted by Sasuke, Chokuto drawn and a strong electrical current chirping through the blade. After dodging a few S from Sasuke, Guy retreated back to the tree with Kakashi. The close combat skills are certainly remarkable, commented Guy. They are. It appears as if we're going to have to resort to ninjutsu to wear them down and then move in for the K, commented Kakashi. Ninjutsu, said Zabuza as he eyed the stream flowing nearby, but then his eye was drawn to Naruto's blade. Don't use. Raiten, Lightning Beast Fang. It was just as Zabuza had predicted and he was the first one to prepare a defense. The Raiju, which took form from Kakashi's technique, made contact with the blade on Naruto's sword and just like every other jutsu, were absorbed by Naruto's sword, Arashi. Sending the jutsu straight back at its caster, Naruto hit Kakashi with the electrified Raiju, but Kakashi had a moment to prepare before getting hit and immediately switched out with a substitution. At blinding speeds, Guy appeared next to Naruto and struck with a strong punch at the blonde. Naruto barely had time to react and as such was forced to take the punch from Guy while 2 of the gates were opened. The punch was incredibly powerful and had Naruto not have been in Sage Mode, he most certainly would have broken something. Seeing the momentary separation of Naruto from the rest of the group, Zabuza picked out his target, Sakura. Now, one of the biggest emphasis Tsunade put on Sakura's training was dodging, and that's exactly what Sakura did as she jumped out of the way of Zabuza's attack. Retaliating, Sakura fired a few senbon at Zabuza, which were easily blocked with the side of the blade. As the senbon hit the blade, they released a very small cloud of colorless gas which went unnoticed to the eye. Zabuza deflected yet another barrage of senbon and went after Sakura again, forcing her back even more and closer towards the river. At the bank of the river, Zabuza's next attack managed to hit Sakura across the sea and B seeped out of the wound as she gritted in pain. Zabuza grinned as Sakura had walked right into his trap. Out on the river, a Zabuza water clone rose up directly behind her before grappling her from behind. Suten, Water Prison Jutsu. Sakura soon found herself trapped in the very jutsu Kakashi nearly fell to during their first encounter with the demon of the hidden mist. Hey, got you. I didn't think it would be this easy. Zabuza suddenly realized, capturing her was too easy. Chidori Current. Electricity shot across the water, engulfing Zabuza in a body-numbing shock. Still, The electricity struck the Zabuza clone and even the entrapped Sakura, however Sakura just faded out of existence. Zabuza crumpled to the surface of the water, his muscles still locked from the electricity as both Sakura and Sasuke appeared just on the edge of the forest. Nice genjutsu there, complimented Sasuke. Sakura merely smiled. There was a small fragrance released from those senbon when they were deflected. Zabuza did exactly what I wanted, releasing the gas when he deflected them. An impressive subtle genjutsu, thought Kurenai from the side. It appears as if those extra genjutsu lessons I gave her in the side really are paying off. Sakura began to make her way towards the fallen Zabuza, but was stopped by Sasuke. The Uchiha made a quick hand sign, dispelling the genjutsu that covered the trap along the bank of the river. Explosive notes littered the rocks on the edge of the river, concealed by a genjutsu. As Sasuke and Sakura came to a halt, Kakashi appeared next to Zabuza. Damn Kakashi, swore Zabuza. What did you teach that brat of yours? Kakashi sighed, slightly disappointed, but disappointed in himself. I'm sorry to say, I didn't teach Sasuke the Chidori current. So the student surpassed the master, eh? Laughed Zabuza. He may have advanced a bit, even creating an original version of my own jutsu, but don't think that means he's surpassed me, Kakashi said in a taunting manner, looking towards Sasuke. I need to regroup with Guy. Zabuza may be a powerful ally, but we don't know how to work together the same way Guy and I do. With that, Kakashi shunishined away with Zabuza. Let's go find what that Dobe is up to, said Sasuke as he and Sakura took off back towards where they last left Naruto and Guy. Naruto and Guy were currently engaged in an exhilarating taijutsu match. For Guy, a taijutsu expert that was familiar with almost every taijutsu style known to the elemental nations, he was having trouble pinpointing exactly what style Naruto was using. Naruto struck at Guy with a straight punch and Guy moved to parry it. Brushing Naruto's punch aside, Guy was unexpectedly hit with a blast of energy that emanated from Naruto's punch. This taijutsu style, I know I've heard of it before, but where? Guy looked at Naruto, the odd eyes catching most of his attention. But then Guy looked over towards where he knew Jiraiya and Tsunade were watching from. I know what style you're fighting with now, claimed Guy. The frog kumite, am I correct? A smile on Naruto's face gave Guy his answer. I see. Then if the rumors of this particular taijutsu style are true, then I can no longer afford to hold back. Gate of life, gate of pain, gate of limit, gate of view, open. A massive burst of energy erupted from Guy as the number of gates he had opened went from 2 to 6. Just great, another idiot who abuses their body by opening more than 1 or 2 of the 8 gates, groaned Tsunade. In a blind fury, Guy was upon Naruto and the two exchanged a rapid barrage of punches, with Naruto forced onto the defensive. As Naruto caught a brief moment to disengage from Guy, he drew his sword, knowing that he no longer had the advantage at close range and the only thing that he had that could give him a chance against Guy's taijutsu was his skills in kenjutsu. He also knew he'd have to find some relief from Guy soon as he could feel his sage mode beginning to wear off after the constant use of the frog kumite. Damn, I'm going to have to use it if I'm going to get some rest from bushy brows sensei, thought Naruto before he grasped his sword. Thankfully, I had Ero Sennin cast a few jutsus on my sword to give it some charge. Holding his sword in front of him, Naruto placed his open hand placed perpendicular to the hilt. Kakashi had just landed on a tree branch nearby and within sight of Guy and Naruto when the still stunned Zabuza realized what Naruto was doing. Don't go near him, Kakashi. Guy, get out of there, Kakashi yelled. However, by the time Guy heard Kakashi's warning it was too late. Arashi, Naruto shouted as the stored chakra within the blade erupted from the emblem that made up the hilt of Naruto's katana. The emergence of the chakra was too fast and Guy was hit with the full force of the blast as he was thrown back through numerous trees. As Kakashi jumped down to check on his other teammate, he saw Guy slowly picking himself out of the ruble of splintered wood. Such a brilliant eruption of youth, exclaimed Guy, despite the soreness after being shot back through many trees. Thankfully for Guy, the extra chakra boost he got from the gates were enough to protect him from suffering the same result as Jiraiya. Let's retreat for now, Guy. It's still late in the afternoon and we've got time to regroup and recalculate our attack, advised Kakashi, before shunshining away with Zabuza and Guy. Looks like round 1 is ours, said Naruto as Sakura and Sasuke appeared behind him. Yeah, But we still don't have any of their bells, commented Sasuke. They'll come back though, don't worry, said Naruto. Night had fallen and Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura were hiding out in the trees. Despite it being dark out, the full moon shone bright enough in the night sky to allow for great visibility. Naruto had made a number of shadow clones and had them transform into various woodland animals to keep a lookout for an attempted attack. Both Zabuza and Guy Sensei are weakened. Even if they do have a few hours to rest, they still won't be up to 100%, said Sakura. Yeah, but Kakashi Sensei's still at full fighting strength, commented Naruto. He wasn't intending to fight us at all there. He wanted to see what we were capable and then make his move, said Sasuke. Trust me, I've been training with him for years. He knew Guy and Zabuza would move in first and he wanted them to fight us. He also planned for the retreat so that his teammates would have enough time to recover. So we need to come up with a strategy to beat Kakashi Sensei, said Naruto. We beat him before. Remember, it was the last time he gave us one of these tests, said Sakura. Yeah, but I doubt he was fighting us with everything he had, said Naruto. Not to mention, we weren't the only ones training over the past few years. Kakashi's stronger than before, said Sasuke. He must have some sort of weakness though that we can use, said Naruto. We need to draw his attention, give him something he can't take his eyes off of while the rest of us try to trap him, said Sasuke. I can do that, said Naruto, not really surprising anyone. Besides, I've got something I really want to show Kakashi Sensei. Fine. While you're doing that, Sakura and I will go after Guy and Zabuza, said Sasuke. Once it's just Kakashi, the three of us can take him. Sasuke made 3 shadow clones of his own and sent them away with some ninja wire, kunai, and explosives to go and set a few traps. Minutes later, Naruto got some feedback from one of his clones. They're coming. Suddenly, Kakashi, Guy, and Zabuza jumped down upon Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, taking them by surprise. Kakashi placed a kunai to Naruto's en. I'm sorry, but it's over. Naruto merely grinned, sending all the warning alarms in Kakashi's head off. Move. Too late, exploding clone jutsu. A massive explosion through the clearing, throwing the 3 eternal rivals away from one another. As a lightly singed Kakashi came to a stop, he was bombarded by a barrage of clones, putting the copy ninja on the run. After Naruto's last clone stunt, he wasn't willing to risk determining if these were just normal shadow clones or if they were exploding clones. They've succeeded in separating us, thought Kakashi. And from the looks of things, it's my turn to face Naruto. Raiten, electromagnetic M, said Kakashi as he turned around and unleashed a widespread electrical current through the ground, underneath the army of clones' feet, shocking them and causing them all to disperse. Kakashi let out a slight sigh of relief, realizing that none of them were exploding clones. It seems as if you've grown, Naruto, said Kakashi as he turned to what he believed to be the real Naruto. And that cloak makes you look more like him. Getting sentimental on me, Kakashi-sensei? Asked Naruto. Don't count on it. You may look like him, but I'm still the stronger of the two, said Kakashi. Hey, we'll see about that, exclaimed Naruto as he made a familiar ball of swirling blue chakra in his hand. There's something I haven't seen in a while, but you know what? Asked Kakashi as he formed an identical blue ball in his hand. You and Jiraiya-sama aren't the only ones who know the Rasengan. Sensei taught his jutsu to me before, well, you know. I see, but did he teach you this? Grinned Naruto as he placed his second hand on top of the Rasengan and began changing the nature of the chakra composing the sphere. Kakashi's eyes widened as he realized what Naruto was doing. That, Kakashi gasped as he eyed the now white orb with 4 small blades erupting from the equator of the orb. Amongst the observers, a few eyes widened as they saw what Naruto was now holding. Jiraiya, is that? Asked a shocked Tsunade. It is, Haim. He completed it during our time in Ogasarawa, said Jiraiya. I figured he'd show it now. He seemed pretty excited to show it to Kakashi. Hiashi overheard the conversation between his sensei and the Hokage, even though his own eyes were focused on the orb in Naruto's hand. You've actually completed Minato's jutsu, Naruto. Perhaps you will surpass him after all. Kakashi was broken out of his stupor when he saw Naruto charging at him with the completed Rasengan. He quickly thought how to defend against the jutsu, figuring the normal Rasengan wouldn't be able to defend against its improved version. Still, Kakashi moved his Rasengan to block the main force of Naruto's attack while using the momentum of the clash to propel him back, away from the epicenter of the blast which the two Rasengans created. Just as Kakashi had expected, Naruto's Rasengan easily won, and even before he could move away, the copy ninja felt a few blades across his arm. As Kakashi landed, he felt an immediate pain shoot through his right hand and he looked down to see a number of deep sea across his arm. I thought I moved in time, but even then, that new Rasengan's truly something, said Kakashi as he looked towards Naruto, a faint outline of a ghost of the past appearing around Naruto. You really a sensei's son, Naruto. You even managed to do something he couldn't. Kakashi jumped back into the trees, creating enough distance between him and Naruto in order to eat a soldier pill and a B-clotting pill. Kakashi felt the effects immediately as a burst of chakra filled him and the B flow from his injured arm slowed. As Kakashi's attention returned to the clearing where Naruto was, he spotted a single bell laying at the base of the tree. Kakashi could also make out the faint outline of a rope in the bright moonlight. Hey, I remember doing something like that, thought Kakashi, remembering back to the original Genin test. I figure I'll humor him. Kakashi jumped down into the clearing and calmly approached the bell before coming to a halt. I know you're there, Naruto. I can smell you after all, called out Kakashi. Naruto jumped down behind Kakashi. I don't know anyone who would fall for such an obvious trap. Well, I do remember you falling for such a trap. Oh haha, said Naruto sarcastically. I also remember you telling me an important piece of advice. Oh, and what piece of advice was that? I hope it wasn't about exposing yourself in front of an enemy, asked Kakashi. Nope, I clearly remember you telling me something about never turning your back to an enemy, grinned Naruto. Just as Naruto finished his sentence, Kakashi's eyes widened, but it was too late. Konoha's secret taijutsu technique, Senin Goroshi. The bell that Naruto had set as a trap burst into smoke, revealing it to be a shadow clone, and the clone raced forward with his hands in a tiger seal and his target, Kakashi's A. The pain was unbearable as the fingers L Kakashi's are in sweet revenge for the Genin test. Zabuza came to a halt and the first person he saw was Sakura walking towards him. Finally, the swordsman grinned. I get some payback for that genjutsu from earlier. Zabuza drew his sword and charged at Sakura, who dodged the swipe and retaliated with a sweeping kick. Zabuza leapt over the kick as it sailed underneath his feet, and as a second kick came higher than the first, he moved his sword to block. The kick was strong as he was still airborne, there was nothing to stop him from flying through the air, back towards the edge of the stream that ran through the training ground. Zabuza smiled as he now had the environmental advantage. Suten, Water Dragon Jutsu. The dragon roared towards Sakura's into the pink-haired Kunoiki. However, he watched as Sakura's fist into his jutsu. It didn't quite defeat his jutsu, but it was strong enough to reduce the power. Sakura was then seen rushing forward towards Zabuza, and in a blur, she was just below him, kicking him in the gut and sending him skyward. In the air, Sakura appeared behind Zabuza, in his shadow, and wrapped her arms around him before spiraling downward. Zabuza was aware that he had been caught in the initial stages of a primary lotus, but one thing that he noticed was that he had his hands free to make hand seals and perform jutsus. As such, he performed a quick replacement jutsu, and as he and Sakura collided with the ground, the demon of the hidden mist replaced himself with a nearby rock. Guy looked onward as Sasuke charged at him, sword drawn. Sasuke swung at Guy, with an odd swing for a chokuto. Sasuke had his sword gripped with both hands, whereas he would typically grip it with a reverse grip. Guy dodged the sword and retaliated with a leaf hurricane, sweeping at Sasuke with a low sweeping kick. Sasuke jumped over top of Guy's first kick and moved the sword to block the second, higher kick. The foot hit the sword and sent Sasuke sailing back towards the creek. Sasuke began flipping through numerous hand seals as the water rose up around him in the form of a dragon. Suten, Water Dragon Jutsu. Guy took the dragon head-on, opening the first 3 of the gates, the most he could open so soon after opening the 6th gate, the Gate of View. Guy powered his way through the jutsu, rushing towards Sasuke. With a strong kick, he kicked Sasuke in the gut and sent him skyward, followed by a quick shunshin behind Sasuke. Before the Uchiha could react, Guy had him in a powerful grapple as they began a spiraling descent. As Guy hit the water, a plume of water exploded upward as they collided with the stream. However, the spandex-clad Jonin realized that Sasuke had performed a quick replacement with a rock. As he looked around, he saw Sasuke standing opposite from him. Damn it, swore Naruto as he saw Kakashi puff into smoke. Naruto realized that Kakashi had sent a shadow clone to trip his little trap. Doton, double S decapitation technique. Naruto felt a pair of hands wrap around his legs and pull him into the ground. Kakashi simply hopped out behind Naruto and looked at the other Naruto, waiting to see if he got the real one or the clone. Sadly for him, the clone turned out to be the one buried deep in dirt. It appears as if we both had traps waiting for each other, said Naruto. Yeah, but I don't think I'll be able to get those memories out of my head for some time, said Kakashi as he tried to nurse the phantom wound to his pride. Shifting back into attack mode, Naruto threw a quick couple kunai at Kakashi and began making some hand seals. Kakashi realized what Naruto was doing and threw a few kunai to deflect those that Naruto had thrown. Just as Naruto completed his Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, Kakashi's kunai hit the original kunai, deflecting Naruto's kunai upward just as the jutsu went off. Instead of the hundreds of kunai being shot towards Kakashi, they were sent upwards and over Kakashi's head. Zabuza looked analytically at Sakura. That was one of Guy's moves, thought Zabuza. Something wasn't quite making sense. Sakura wasn't fighting like a medical ninja should. She was too direct and her moves didn't match what he had seen her do so far. Before he could come up with any sort of answer, he felt the cold point of a senbon press into the back of his N. As he took a quick look behind him, the very pink-haired girl who he was currently facing stood behind him. Sakura made a quick hand seal and the Sakura Zabuza was currently facing fizzled out until Guy now stood in her place, Sasuke standing behind him with an active Chidori held to his back. I see, you placed a genjutsu on the two of us to make us think we were fighting you while in reality we were really fighting ourselves, said Zabuza. Very clever for a little girl. It appears Kakashi's students are more youthful than we originally thought, called out Guy from across the creek. Yeah, it's too bad you won't win, grinned Zabuza. Wondering what Zabuza was saying, Sakura and Sasuke took a quick glance down at where their bells were supposed to be and they saw that both Guy and Zabuza were missing their bells. Kakashi must have them, called out Sasuke. Sakura nodded and let go of Zabuza before he dropped to ground, the paralytic toxin in the senbon which Sakura had put into his N prior to dispelling the genjutsu. Sasuke shunshined quickly to the front of Guy and looked the taijutsu Jonin straight in the eye, using his Sharingan to put the spandex-wearing beast in a sleepy trance. Guy and Zabuza were effectively out for the duration of the test, leaving only Kakashi. Kakashi had repelled a wind jutsu aimed for him by blocking it with his Doton, mud wall. However, Kakashi was truly surprised when an electrically charged hand easily punched through the wall and once the wall crumbled, he saw all three members of his team in front of him. It looks like you two got Zabuza and Guy. So how many bells do you have? 5. Kakashi chuckled as he showed all 3 bells of his team. The 3 Chunin surrounded their sensei and Kakashi just gave them a smile and a wave before disappearing. They've grown. If Sakura and Sasuke were able to take down Guy and Zabuza, then they really are something. Damn, the sun's beginning to rise and we can't seem to find Kakashi-sensei. Exclaimed Naruto. We need something. Something that will most certainly draw Kakashi-sensei out and give us one more go at those bells, but what? Said a frustrated Sakura. Wait, I think I've got it. Exclaimed Naruto. I know what will get Kakashi-sensei to come out of hiding. Well come on then Dobe, what's this great idea of yours? Asked Sasuke. Naruto soon began giggling as he reached into his back pouch and pulled out a green-covered book led, Ika Tactics. Naruto, why do you have one of those smutty books Kakashi-sensei reads? Glared Sakura. Because Ero Sennin's the one who writes them, replied Naruto. Off to the side, Sasuke was staring intently at the book. I don't recognize that one. Ika Tactics. Is that a new one or something? This one in particular hasn't been released yet and won't be released for a few more months. This will get Kakashi-sensei out of hiding, laughed Naruto as he left to begin setting a trap for Kakashi-sensei with the new Ika as bait. As Naruto completed his trap, he placed the book down on the ground and snuck away. Unbeknownst to him, Kakashi was watching from the trees, hiding himself to the best of his abilities. And the best of his abilities would challenge even the greatest Inuzuka trackers. No, that book, it can't be. It hasn't even been released yet, gasped Kakashi. Oh, the bait was so tempting and he was beginning to feel the pull towards his next book in his favorite series. No, I can't, at least not yet. If I walk into that trap, I'll most certainly be caught, thought Kakashi. I've got a way at getting my hands on that book without me being the one to trip the trap. It's set. Kakashi-sensei won't be getting out of that if he wants that book as bad as I think he will, said Naruto. It was only a few minutes before Naruto felt the chakra from his trap seals go off and he quickly made his way to see his prize. Only when they got there, Kakashi wasn't the one in the trap, Sasuke was. How? Asked Naruto confused. Those seals were flawless to prevent the use of replacements and he had placed seals around the perimeter so that clones or any sort of non-human object could enter. Even if Kakashi had somehow gotten the book out without touching it, the seals that Naruto had placed within the book would activate upon being touched by someone with a chakra signature, immobilizing them. There was only one explanation, and Naruto could see that was what happened when he saw Sasuke with the book open and eyes glued to the page. Oh my, said Naruto before he burst out laughing. Behind him, Sakura's world completely shattered. Kakashi had turned her boyfriend into a pervert. I will admit, Naruto, that was a good trap you set up there. Too bad you forgot to look underneath and realize that I likely had made Sasuke into as big of an Ika fan as myself. However, I have more self-control than Sasuke, so I knew that he would come along shortly to trip your trap, said Kakashi as he appeared in front of Naruto and stepped closer to Sasuke, taking the book from his student's hand. This will occupy me for some time. Suddenly, Naruto felt a wave of feminine fury arise from directly behind him. While Naruto could feel some of it directed at him, he knew most of it was being sent towards Kakashi. You know, Kakashi-sensei, perhaps you're the one who hasn't seen underneath, Naruto said as he pointed behind him at the fuming Sakura. Oh, Kakashi-sensei, growled Sakura as a knuckle crack echoed through the village. Sakura, whimpered Kakashi before feeling the full wrath of Sakura's fury. Over on the sidelines, Jiraiya was clutching his side while laughing at the unforeseen outcome of the test. Oh, Jiraiya, Tsunade said sweetly as she turned to her fellow Sannin. Why does Naruto have that book? Jiraiya sweated as he foresaw the beating coming. After a few very painful beatings early one Konoha morning, all members of what was slowly becoming known as the Konoha 15, Sai, and the senseis plus Yamato stood in Tsunade's office. Team 7, it appears as if you have successfully completed your test. Although I was surprised by its conclusion, coughed Tsunade. Now, there is something I've been meaning to discuss with you. There is a plan I wish to test out and I plan for all of you to help me. Everyone listened intently for what Tsunade was about to say. Over your years as shinobi, all of you have blown away any expectation that was placed on your particular group and all of you have developed into superb shinobi and kunoichi. One thing I've really noticed is your ability to work together with one another, which is why I selected all of you to try this out with. What I am thinking is making small adjustments to your current teams by adding another member to improve each team's flexibility in handling more diverse missions. This got everyone's attention. Adding an extra member was something they weren't expecting. Currently, the teams are as follow. Team Kakashi is composed of Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke with Hatake Kakashi as team leader. Team Kurenai is composed of Hyuga Hinata, Inuzuka Kiba, and Aburame Shino with Yuhi Kurenai as the team leader. Team Asuma is composed of Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamai Kichuji with Sarutobi Asuma as the team leader. And Team Guy is composed of Rock Lee, Tenten, and Hyuga Neji with Meito Guy as the team leader. Also, there are 4 more individuals, Yuki Haku, Kurama Yakumo, Fu, and Sai who are currently without a team due to various reasons, Tsunade explained. What I plan on doing is adding one member from each of these final 4 people to each team. This will give each team 5 members. Of these 5 members, 4 will be assigned to a mission based on the mission specifics while 1 member is allowed leave to rest and train. However, this also allows for 4 of you to be on leave at any one time, meaning that a 5th team may be formed should the need arise. You know, it actually sounds interesting, thought Ino. Nah, this team's already troublesome enough without adding another member, sighed Shikamaru. Everything's troublesome to you, replied Ino. Yosh. Another person to train my ever-growing youth against, exclaimed Lee. Anyways, the following assignments will be as such. Yuki Haku will be joining Team Asuma as he is already knowledgeable in the operations surrounding an infiltration-type team, said Tsunade as Ino let out a squeal of delight. Kurama Yakumo will be joining Team Guy to add another level of support to an already strong frontline team. And Lee and Yakumo are kind of cute together. Yosh. Did you hear that, Yakumo-chan? Exclaimed Lee. Sai will be joining Team Kakashi. What? Shouted Naruto and Sakura in protest. What are you thinking, Barkan? Tsunade sighed. In reality, the elders had pulled a few strings she had not expected to get one of Danzo's goons on Naruto's team. Still, Tsunade felt the need to come up with an excuse. Already, 2 members of your team have Anbu experience. With Sai being ex-Anbu, I believe this team will fit him best. This is non-negotiable, Naruto. Anyways, that means Fu will be joining Team Kurenai. I am aware that Fu has already been exposed in great lengths to the working of Team Kurenai and she does possess skills that would benefit in a tracking team. Also, regarding Team Kurenai, Yamato will be taking over as team captain while Yuhi Kurenai is away on maternity leave. When she is cleared to resume active duty, she will be reinstated as active team captain, said Tsunade. Any questions? Naruto and Sakura's hands went up. Any questions not involving Sai? No hands. Good. Tsunade was off as the door to her office burst open as a member of Konoha's decryption team raced into the room. Tsunade-sama. Tsunade's Kazekage has been captured by an organization called Akatsuki. She blatantly announced without realizing that Tsunade currently had people present in her office. Jutsus. Castration palm. AS Hyuga technique known to the female members of the clan. This is essentially a chakra-enhanced yuken strike to the groin of any male, see off all chakra flow to their genitals. This is also extremely painful. Rank SSSSSSSSSS to anything male, uses Hyuga Hinata, any other Hyuga women. Hidden Mist Jutsu rank D uses Momoiki Zabuza, Yuki Haku. Hoken, the original taijutsu style of Sasuke that makes use of flames that surround his fists and feet. The style is similar in form to the Goken, using quick and powerful direct attacks, while adding the searing power of fire to the attack. User, Uchiha Sasuke. Futon, Swirling Gale, a modified version of Futon, great breakthrough where the gust of extends outward from the user in a spiraling fashion rather than a straight line. If enough chakra is pumped into the jutsu, it does have enough power to uproot some smaller trees. Rank, C+, uses, Uzumaki Naruto. Chidori Current rank, A+, uses, Uchiha Sasuke. Demonic Illusion, Tree Binding Death rank, A, uses, Haruno Sakura, Yuhi Kurenai. Raiten, Lightning Beast Fang. Kakashi manipulates lightning chakra in his hand before shooting it outwards in the form of a hound. The hounds remain connected to the user's hands, allowing them to control the attack. Rank, B+, uses, Hitaki Kakashi. Exploding Clone Jutsu rank, A, uses, Uzumaki Naruto, Jiraiya. Raiten, Electromagnetic M, rank, C, uses, Hitaki Kakashi, many lightning type ninja. Konoha secret taijutsu technique, Sennen Goroshi, rank, E, should be SS, uses, Uzumaki Naruto, Hitaki Kakashi. Suten, Water Dragon Jutsu, rank, A, uses, Momoiki Zabuza, Hitaki Kakashi. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, rank, A, uses, Uzumaki Naruto, Hitaki Kakashi. Doten, Mud Wall, rank, C, uses, Hitaki Kakashi. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.